Welcome, one and all, to the only Disgaea game that has yet to be re-released in any way, shape, or form in the 10 plus years of its existence. We're talking about, of course, Disgaea D2, A Brighter Darkness for the PlayStation 3. Disgaea D2 is a real black sheep of the series because not only is it one of the only games still stuck in a previous generation of consoles, but also because it's the only game that's a direct sequel, made for the 10th anniversary of its predecessor and the game that started it all, Disgaea 1. Because of this, it tries to re-implement a lot of the older mechanics of that game while retaining a lot of the more modern changes the series was making at the time, creating an interesting mix of the two styles and still managing to introduce a lot of brand new mechanics and features as you would expect from any Disgaea entry. The goal of this guide, as always, is to start from the basics and outline your entire journey, from a new save file all the way to the Platinum Trophy. I'll first outline how this entry has changed from the others, which includes basic gameplay differences, new mechanics, and all the different NPCs in the hub world that you can use, the item world, shop, dark assembly, etc. Then I'll go over how to get stronger, good grinding maps, leveling up items, important innocents, all the best ways to skyrocket those numbers. And finally, we'll run through all the trophies and how to get them. So without further ado, let's get into Disgaea D2, A Brighter Darkness. Like usual, the basic gameplay is very much the same as any other entry, but I'll still try to elaborate on anything deeper than the in-game tutorial within reason. Returning mechanics, such as the item world and Evilities, will be explained and elaborated on in this first section or when relevant. Check the chapters. But there are some pretty basic overarching changes and new mechanics that it would be fitting to get out of the way first. Starting with a new weapon type, the Book. They never brought this back and I have no idea why. This is basically just another option for magic users. It uses intelligence for damage and follows the same pattern of weapon skills as the other non-staff weapons. That is, you learn each new skill by increasing its weapon mastery, which I'll explain soon. Additionally, there's an entirely new system to DD2 called Likeability. Each individual character has a Likeability level with every other character. Likeability can be increased by doing general teamwork stuff. Team attacks, healing allies, etc. Basically, characters fighting together and supporting each other will increase their likability with each other. Killing an ally will decrease their likability. I'm being vague because the ins and outs are not actually very important since you can also just pass a bill in the Dark Assembly to increase or decrease likability with anyone you want. The other big thing this game introduces, or rather reintroduces, is the Master Apprentice system. But it's been modified. In Disgaea 1, when you created a character, that character would be the apprentice of the character that created them. In DD2, however, you can change masters and apprentices at any time. Essentially, anyone can be anyone's master or apprentice with a simple selection in the menu. The main effect this has is that apprentices can use any weapon skills available to the masters in addition to their own skills, and once they use one, they learn it for good. It's a crazy convenient way to transfer any skill to any unit. In other games, you had to use the Kara world to do that kind of stuff, but the Kara world is not present in this game at all. There's also a new mechanic for monsters this time around called mounting. Any humanoid can mount any monster, allowing them to use all their normal skills and even a unique mounted skill, and all attacks will be taken by the monster, acting as sort of a shield. Both the monster and human get experience when mounted, so it can be an efficient way to power level monsters. But that is kind of their only mechanic in this game. Neither fusion nor magic change is present in DD2. As for skills, Weapon Mastery is back. Just like in Disgaea 1 and 2, each character has a Weapon Mastery rank for each weapon, from D to S, which determines how much Weapon Mastery experience they gain for that weapon. You gain Weapon Mastery experience simply by using the weapon. A higher rank means more experience. Leveling up Weapon Mastery, which has a max of 255, increases the damage you deal with that weapon. This also determines when you learn weapon skills, being unlocked at certain mastery levels. When I say weapon skills, like usual, each non-staff humanoid weapon has 8 skills it can learn, but only the first 6 are learned this way. Skills 7 and 8 are learned by our good friend the Old Combat Master, who can appear as a random item world mystery room. When you encounter him, you can select any of these skills that you can afford, and as many as you want. More on the item world and mystery rooms later. There is no Kara world in Disgaea D2, which is where the Combat Master was in days past. Other than that, the general gameplay is the very same Disgaea you know and love. As for all the NPCs, the shop remains the shop, but there are 2 significant changes. Items from the shop are totally free of innocence, which means no scouring the shop for ones you need anymore. You can't get any. I'll have a whole dedicated section to innocents later for those who don't know about them. And 2, for the first time in the series, the items aren't actually randomized. The items in there are fixed based on your product rank, which as always you raise in the Dark Assembly. You can only increase it by 1 per main story chapter for a total of 10, although the maximum is actually 12. You can get an extra rank by clearing Valvatorez and Fenric's map in postgame, and yet another by defeating Pringer Z in the Land of Carnage. Of course, those are for much later. In fact, with product rank 12, the max, you can buy up to rank 39 items right from the shop. Recap on items. Each item has a secret rank that is never conveyed to you in-game, but is more for keeping track of its strength relative to others of its type, and can dictate where you can find them. Refer to this handy-dandy item chart. That can look intimidating, I know. These ranks go from 1 to 40, with rank 40 items always being legendary. When it comes to weapons and armor, there is exactly 1 of each type pertaining to all 40 ranks, with of course the rank 40 types being the strongest. Normally, only up to rank 34 items can be found in the normal world, with the higher ranks being locked behind a special postgame area called the Land of Carnage, with the exception of the shop. Otherwise though, most items can be gotten from chests or stolen off of enemies, most commonly in the item world. But even then, you'll never find a rank 40 this way. When you use the item world, the number of floors changes based on the item's rarity grade, that is common, rare, or legendary. And only at the very top of a legendary item on floor 100 will you find the item god, which will have the next rank up of that item equipped, meaning you need a legendary rank 39 item to steal the rank 40 from the item god. Generally, this is the only way to get a rank 40 anything. And to get a legendary specifically, that's just RNG. You need to hunt the item world in chests to find one. The higher the rank the item you're in, the higher ranks you'll find in chests and on enemies. Because like always, of course, items from the shop can't be legendary or anything. That would be crazy, right? Historically, there has also been a rarity system for items, with each item being assigned a random number from 0 to 255 that would dictate common, rare, or legendary. Except that doesn't actually exist anymore. Instead, DD2 only keeps the overall grade. That is just common, rare, or legendary, and that's that. No funny number attached. But the rarity bonus still exists. This is the stats bonus you receive for equipping multiple items of the same exact rarity, for a total of 30% for all 4 items. Except now, instead of all those items needing the exact same rarity number, all that's required for the bonus in Disgaea D2 is for the items to be of the same grade, common, rare, or legendary. As you can imagine, this makes it way easier to obtain and keep. You don't even have to think about it, and will probably forget it's even a thing because you'll just have all legendary items equipped anyway. There's nothing much else to say about items otherwise. The item world, however, got quite the revamp. For those who don't know, the item world lets you go into an item and level it up by clearing floors, either by killing all the enemies or, more logistically, just making it to the clear portal, which will take you to the next floor, all of which are randomly generated. In the item world, you'll randomly encounter mystery rooms between floors that you'll be dumped into, which will have a wide variety of effects. Again, the old Combat Master is one of these mystery rooms. And yes, previously these were separate portals, but now they just happen automatically. The number of floors is also dependent on the item's grade. 30 for common, 60 for rare, 100 for legendary. At least on paper. Disgaea D2 actually lets you climb more than that. In fact, you can climb a maximum of... There is no maximum, I lied, you can go infinitely. After clearing the last floor, you'll just be reset back to floor 1, allowing you to just keep going. Your item's level won't reset or anything, your stats will just continue to build, so you never have to worry about timing when strengthening items, since there is infinite wiggle room. Not only that, but an item's grade increases when you get reset if it's not already legendary. This means that you can actually just buy a rank 39 from the shop, clear 30 floors to make it rare, clear 60 floors to make it legendary, and you just have a legendary rank 39. But you'll get more than enough legendary rank 39s anyway by breaking legendary chests you find while leveling up your main accessory, which here is going to be, surprise surprise, the Trapezohedron. So once you get one and start leveling it up, you can hunt down chests along the way and you'll be swimming in these. Which means you don't even need to bother getting them from the shop and climbing through all those floors to make them legendary. By the way, there's technically a secondary limit to how deep you can go in the item world besides the item's grade, and that's which pirate ship you're using. Much like in Disgaea 3, when you defeat a pirate group, you'll obtain their ship, which you can use to traverse the item world. Which ship you're using determines how many floors you can go, but as soon as you get one that allows for 100 floors, this becomes completely irrelevant. The Galleon is one such ship and is pretty common. You'll probably already have it before you even care about going high into the item world. But if you don't, it can be obtained from the numerous pirates by only floor 15 or above. Otherwise, the Catamaran also allows for 100 floors and can be found on a couple pirate groups above floor 20. The item assembly is still here, but instead of having a chance to spawn in the Innocent Town, it's now just a built-in option at the item world or NPC. This allows you to pass bills to strengthen the item just straight up. The number of bills you can pass depends on the item's grade, but legendary items allow you to pass 3 initially, plus 1 more for every 100 floors cleared up to a maximum of 6. The options here are essentially the same as in the previous game, bills to increase stats. There are 2 kinds here, stat increasing and stat growth. Don't touch stat growth, the stat increasing ones are much better. They just increase the base stats of the item by a strict 20%, and it doesn't matter when you pass them. The benefits will be the same regardless since it affects base stats and not the modified stats. At first, you'll only see the 5% bills. I'll be honest, I have no idea what makes the 20% ones appear, they just do after a while. It's probably clearing your first 100 floors or something, but when you see them, that's what you're going to want to go for. So don't pass any bills before then. The level cap for items is still 300, in normal mode. Once you complete the post-game storyline, you unlock Rasetsu mode, which increases this cap to a ridiculous 999. We'll go into that when we get there. Other more minor changes include pirates spawning at the beginning of a turn now instead of at the end of one, and always spawning right when you enter the floor if one will spawn at all. No waiting around anymore. If multiple pirates are going to show up, they'll be on consecutive turns. Otherwise, no more are coming. Similarly, there will be bonus rooms between floors at random that will look just a little familiar. There are a bunch of innocents to be had here, level spheres, and chests. Yeah, it's basically just a reverse pirating floor, and this essentially serves as a replacement to reverse pirating, since that is no longer a thing in Disgaea D2. They're bonus rooms now. Don't get these confused with mystery rooms. They're called different things, but they're activated the same exact way. Just random rooms you'll be dumped into between floors sometimes. Also worth noting is that in the Innocent Towns between every 10th floor, you'll find a general item shop NPC that has a random assortment of items for sale that can be of any rarity. The thing about this shop is that unlike the normal shop, these items come with innocents. So if you know you're going to want a lot of a certain kind of innocent down the road, which you will, it's a good idea to look through the shop in every innocent town to find them ahead of time. Otherwise, they can be pretty difficult to come by. Now, in the item world, there are 2 different routes you can set yourself on, which can be toggled between in the cheat shop NPC. The item route and the innocent route. No secret treasure route here like there was in Disgaea 4. Now, of course, just like D4, there's basically one route you're almost always going to want to be on. And that, this time, is the innocent route, not the item route. It's actually pretty unclear what the item route actually does since there are no descriptions here outside of the toggle. People speculate that it makes certain mystery rooms spawn more often, like the ones with item bosses in them that boost the item stats, but there's not really a hard answer. It certainly doesn't help the item stat growth and doesn't even make level spheres spawn more often like in Disgaea 4, since level spheres in DD2 only appear in bonus rooms. The innocent route, however, makes random innocents spawn sometimes on floors, even ones that weren't originally in your item, and still has the concrete benefit of increasing the bonus of subduing innocents the higher the floor you're on, up to 3.9 times the unsubdued level above floor 90. I believe this route also makes innocent-related mystery rooms spawn more often too, like the Innocent Shop, which has a random selection of innocents to choose from, which also have higher levels the deeper in the item world you are. Last note about the item world, you can actually customize it quite a bit from the cheat shop. You can change spawn rates of geopanels to more of them or none of them, and you can even set the general size of each floor between cramped, normal, and expand. The cramped item world is highly recommended. It makes the floors super small, but overloaded with enemies. However, flying units with high movement, like our good friend the Masked Hero, will completely ignore all the enemies and can often get to the goal in one movement on every single floor. It's also great for increasing the kill bonus faster, which is just one of a few new ways to increase item stats other than just leveling it up. But we'll get there in the leveling item section. That's a lot of item world changes. But that's not the only thing that got a pretty big revamp. Evilities work differently too, and in fact, the Evility shop is nowhere to be found. To start with the basics of Evilities, each character has 2 Evilities that they can have equipped. These just apply passive effects to your character, which can make or break strategies. The first Evility, called your primary Evility, is one that you can actually choose. Upon creating a character, you get 3 personality types to choose from, which also have unique Evilities attached. Each generic class has its own 3, but when it comes to unique characters, since you don't actually create them, they just have the one that they come with. So how do you get a secondary Evility? By stealing another character's primary. Not just inheriting, stealing. The stealing character gains the Evility and the other character loses it. This is done with a bill in the assembly, and it's the only way to gain a secondary Evility, and the primary Evility is the only one that can be stolen. You can't steal a character's secondary. Furthermore, you can only steal Evilities from characters that have max Likeability with each other. Again, you can just keep passing bills to increase Likeability with anyone you want. So gaining a secondary Evility essentially amounts to creating a character with your desired Evility as their primary, maxing out Likeability between it and the unit you want to steal with, then passing the bill in the assembly with the character doing the stealing, and they shall indeed steal. And don't worry, you can reincarnate a character who's had their primary stolen to regain it again, even unique characters. Speaking of the assembly, it's the same as it ever was. This is where you can talk to the lovely plenaire to use mana, gotten from killing enemies, to pass bills. If the approval rating is too low and you can't get it to pass, you can bribe the senators, but you could also just wait until you're strong enough to fight them. Or if you have enough hell, you can pay for the vote, which still isn't 100% guaranteed, but is another option. This is easily save scummable. I just find bribing way too much more of a hassle than it's worth when you can just pass anything by fighting or paying later on, so not really recommended unless you really want to. An important bill, as always, is the aforementioned more expensive stuff bill that populates the store with stronger items. There's also a bill for increasing or decreasing Likeability. And of course, it's also where you create and reincarnate characters. For creating characters, humanoids are all unlocked for creation by having other humanoid characters at certain levels, and monster classes are unlocked by just defeating them in battle at least once. Each individual class has 6 of its own tiers, which start with slightly more base stats and have the possibility of being able to learn higher tier weapon skills. Higher tiers are unlocked by having any lower tier of that class at a certain level. It doesn't have to be the tier directly below. For example, even a tier 1 warrior class at level 160 will let you create the highest tier, the Battle Master. When you create a character, one of the screens will have all of these options for differing mana values, going up to Genius. This is kind of the proficiency you want it to have, which just gives the character more points to allocate to their base stats. So of course, it's always recommended you pick Genius when you can. You'll have to pass a bill for it the first time. It's also worth mentioning that each character has an aptitude percentage for each stat, which modifies its value. For example, 150% in attack means that that character will automatically take on 150% of the attack it's really supposed to have, quote unquote. As for reincarnating, this is a mechanic that allows you to start all the way back at level 1 with a character, but in exchange gives you even more points to allocate to your base stats. These levels accumulate too. Each time you reincarnate, whatever level you were will be added to your stored levels, and thus give you more and more points, making your characters stronger and stronger. In postgame, we'll see just how busted reincarnation is in this game in particular, but for normal play, this is all that's relevant. And thankfully, Disgaea D2 retains the cheat shop. This is where you can reallocate currency gains and increase the levels of enemies by setting a difficulty rating out of 20 stars. You'll get more and more points to allocate as you go through the main story and in a couple postgame maps. The absolute highest is 1000% in any of these. And do not sleep on making enemies stronger. If you can handle it, it's a great way to get a good boost in resources, especially in postgame. This is basically the same as it was in Disgaea 4, but with more notable things to play around with, mostly to do with the aforementioned item world settings. Disgaea D2's own club system comes in the form of the training room with this Prinny NPC. And in case you're wondering, the other rooms here are just for show. I was waiting for so long to unlock more stuff before I realized there's just nothing there, just the trainer. The trainer room mostly serves to boost the growth of various aspects, like your stats as you level up or increasing your aptitudes. At first, you can only put in one character per club, but you can level up the club by simply using that character, and as the club levels up, you can put in more members. Clubs can go up to level 4, allowing for 4 members, and strengthening the effect of the club. I definitely recommend making good use of specifically the more attack growth and or intelligence growth for hopefully obvious reasons, but the aptitude growth club, which you unlock after the main story, will be very useful as well. It just has a chance after each battle to raise a random aptitude of the members. You can just leave the characters in this while grinding for other things to passively max out your aptitudes. Again, there's no Kara World or Evility shop to be found here. And so with that, let's get into some classes and innocence. As usual, the masked hero is your speed demon. Not only does he have some of the highest movement in the game, he has the ability of flying, basically ignoring enemies and obstacles. One of the Evilities he can choose as his primary also gives him 3 additional movement when coming out of the base panel. Combined with Cramp's item world floors, this dude will have you zooming, and with the sheer amount of floors you'll be climbing in this game, you'll need that. As for buffs, the Alrune, aka Flora Beast, as usual, is a good choice. It has attack, intelligence, defense, and resistance raising buffs. But of course, there must be one class that is the most optimal to strengthen and be your big damage dealer. And that is a Fire Magician, aka Skull. specifically a tier 4 or above, which would be a Star Magician or above. In this game, the colors don't actually correspond to their elemental specialty, like in the previous ones. You can select them for any of these when you create them. So when you create a Star Magician or above, you're going to want to select the fire specialty, and that will make it so that it can learn the strongest fire spell, Terrafire. Simply put, the best grinding map, Cave of Ordeals 6, has enemies with all minus 75% fire resistance. The Magician has a primary Evility that just straight up makes all of his magic deal 30% more damage. And I should also mention that the Ifrit monster class's Shaking personality gives it an Evility that decreases fire resistance of all enemies on the map by 15%. And it stacks. So using Terrafire while also sending out a bunch of Ifrits to just passively decrease fire resistance is an insanely easy way to get a lot of damage on enemies, especially on Cave of Ordeals 6. But if you want to use any other class, it's super easy to just transfer Terrafire to any other character by making them the Magician's Apprentice and having them use it to learn it permanently. It's much less of a pain in the ass than the Kara world was, so it can really be anyone. But the Magician does have his cool ability of increasing magic damage by 30%, which could also theoretically just be stolen by someone else. For simplicity's sake, we're rocking with the Magician. If you choose to go deeper into post-game, that is, going up against Baal, however, it's not the Magician, but Valvatorez that is highly recommended. I mentioned both of these because Baal in this game is completely optional, like not required for the Platinum at all, and is also a massive difficulty spike compared to anything else in the entire game. As such, I'll be trying to keep in mind those who still want to fight Baal and those who only care about the Platinum. Either way, the Magician is amazing for getting started in post-game, and once you're strong enough, like after you get a decently high level trap, you can switch to Valvatorez. His primary ability absorbs 20% of stats of the enemies he defeats for that stage. He goes back to normal afterwards. Not only does Baal have astronomically high stats, he also has 6 phases, which means Val absorbs 20% of each phase's stats, getting way stronger as the battle goes on. Of course, you could just steal the ability, but the flexibility of being able to choose any other one as your secondary on top of that is invaluable, so just keep that in mind. And now we get to your important innocents. First off, what are innocents? In many of your items, you may have seen these dudes just hanging around inside of them. These are the little occupations you see in item descriptions with a red monster looking icon next to them. Each of these gives their own unique beneficial effect, but by default they're totally tied to that item specifically. If you go into the item world of that item, they have a chance to spawn on each floor in the form of a neutral unit, and you can then defeat them to subdue them. If any of the other enemies defeats them or they die some other way, they won't be subdued, but don't worry, they're not gone forever, they just have a chance to spawn again later. Subduing them doubles their level, unless you're on the innocent route, which raises it even higher, and lets you transfer them to any item you want, as well as combine them with innocents of the same type to make one stronger one and free up slots for the item for more types of innocents. The number of innocent slots on an item depends on its rarity grade, and legendary items start with 6, and again, you cannot find innocents in regular shop items in this game, unfortunately. But with that being said, which innocents are you gonna want a gun for? Well, where do I even begin? Disgaea D2 lives and breathes innocence. Right off the bat, I want to mention that there is no duplicating items in Disgaea D2. The puppy paw stick is an item, but there's no way to exploit it, unfortunately. It's just good old-fashioned subduing and combining, but there are some tricks you can use to speed up the process that I'll talk about after going over the innocents themselves. Now, all the single stat increasing innocents are still here, which is a special set of innocents that each correspond to a certain stat. Each of them increases that stat by 1 per level, with the astronomical cap of 19,998 per innocent. Historically, putting these on an item, no matter the level, would give you a boost to the item per level it gains in the item world. And it does still work that way in this game, but I would recommend keeping those slots open for any other innocents you encounter, because they're pretty hard to come by in this game, and they're very important. So here's what you should be worrying about. Guardians. As always, a level 500 Guardian will give you 500% more stats from an equipped accessory, which is the max. These are really only gained from bonus floors, the ones with all the innocents in them, and the item shop mystery room, noted by this purple thief NPC, which has a chance to be carrying Guardians. The higher the floor, the higher level the Guardians will be. And of course, statisticians. These can actually be found outside of bonus floors on normal items, and they still have no soft cap, meaning you get 1% more experience per level of innocent, a cap of 300 levels per innocent for as many of them as you can fit on your character. Cave of Ordeals 6, the best grinding map, has enemies that commonly carry them on their items, so this will be your best source for them. And same goes for professionals. Tried and true, 1% crit chance per level for a max of 100. meaning a max level professional gives you guaranteed crits, and these can also be commonly found on the enemy's items in Ordeal 6. Reminiscent of Disgaea 1 and 2, there are innocents that increase your weapon mastery and skill experience as well for extra damage. The trainer increases skill experience gain by 1% per level, with a hard and soft cap of 300, and the sparring partner innocent is basically your arms master. 1% more weapon mastery experience gain per level, with a hard and soft cap of 1900. I happen to notice that the sparring partner is extremely common in the Aphrodite book weapon from the Innocent Town item shop, so stockpile as many of these as you can ahead of time. The Aphrodite is a rank 34 book, so you'll find them more in stronger items. Now, I'm also going to mention the status resistant innocents here. There are 5 of these, 1 for each ailment, which provide 1% resistance level for a max of 100 for 100% resistance. I'm only bringing these up because if you choose to go up against Baal, these are a must. Again, Baal isn't actually required for the platinum in this game, but I'm gonna go over how to beat him anyway, so if you choose to do so, keep these along with trainers and sparring partners in mind. And finally, we have a special innocent called the Shadow Heart. This innocent is unique because the only way to get it is from having it spawn randomly in the item world on the innocent route. It comes at level 1 and gains no benefit from raising it. 1 is all you need. The Shadow Heart raises the wearer's stats by 1% for every character with 0 Likeability with the wearer. Since your character count is capped at 128, you can theoretically get a 127% stat boost from this innocent by filling out your entire roster and making all of them hate you. Any new character will automatically start at 1 Likeability with everyone else, so you can quickly ally kill them to get them down to 0 and get your stat boost. It is now that I would like to outline a special strategy for quickly gaining certain innocent levels, most notably Guardians, because the limited opportunities to obtain these and the quite daunting level cap of 500 can make it seem like a rather monumental ask, but you can actually abuse item world mechanics to farm them rather quickly, or at least not have to go too much out of your way to do so. You can do it at the same time you're leveling up your main rank 40 item, aka your trap. We'll go over how to get one, but leveling it up will just have you endlessly climbing the item world. There really aren't any great level boosters, you just have to keep clearing floors. Yes, about 999 of them. So why not take that time to be a little productive? If you stay on the innocent route, once you hit floor 90, exit before 91 and save. Then keep running the last 10 floors until you get an innocent shop mystery room that's selling a guardian. This ensures that the guardian it's selling will be pretty much at the highest level possible. And the thing about getting innocents from this room is that they come unsubdued. So once you get one, Gensi out and save. Then go back in and keep running the rest of the floors until it appears. If it doesn't appear by floor 99, reset. If you subdue it in the 90s of floors, you'll get that 3.9 times multiplier to its level that you get from the innocent route, which already is pretty good. But this is only one floor 91 plus run. You'll be hitting floor 91 plus multiple times over the course of leveling up your rank 40 item. So after you get your initial subdued guardian, you can start combining it with the new unsubdued ones you purchase from this shop. The way combining subdued and unsubdued innocents works is that it acts like all innocents involved were unsubdued from the start, assuming the normal multiplier of 2 times. In other words, it halves the value of the subdued innocent, and the result is also unsubdued. Because the penalty to your subdued innocent is less than the gains from subduing it again, you end up with a higher leveled innocent than you would have if you had subdued both separately and then combined. For example, say you have a level 100 subdued guardian already when hitting floor 91 plus, and you get a level 20 guardian from the innocent shop. Combining a level 100 subdued with a level 20 unsubdued will result in a level 70 unsubdued innocent. Half of 100 is 50, add that to 20 is 70. Subdue that with the innocent root bonus of 3.9, and you get almost a level 280 innocent just like that. If you were to have subdued them separately, subduing the level 20 on its own would have it at almost level 80, and combining that with the already subdued 100 would leave it at only level 180. So combining first is much better, and you should only have to do this a few times to get a level 500 guardian. So with the basics, classes, and innocents all out of the way, let's actually play the game. As usual, given that Disgaea games are like 10% main story and 90% post-game, I'll just go over the main story grinding maps that'll get you primed. And of course, it wouldn't be Disgaea without a level 99 trick to abuse. Multiple, in fact. In essence, enemies at level 99 will give you a lot more experience than you'd expect, as much as about a level 300 enemy would give you. Your first map for this is 2-6. At 7 stars cheat shop difficulty, the dragons on this stage will each be at level 33. You can throw them on each other to combine their levels for one level 99 dragon. Use anything you can to be able to knock one of these out if you so wish to power level as early as possible. Remember, the All-Rune class has Braveheart and Magic Boost, and tower skills are also an incredible way to deal a ton of damage at once, as it basically amounts to every single unit in the tower attacking at the same time. And everyone in the tower gains experience, which also makes it a great way to level up multiple units at the same time. The other map great for exploiting the level 99 trick is 6-1 at 9 stars of difficulty. It has two 2x2 groups of Nekamadas who will be exactly level 99 on experience boosting geopanels. You can get a good AoE skill user to wipe out a whole group, preferably your Fire Magician. As for after the main story, well, of course your next goal is going to be Cave of Ordeals. This can actually be unlocked at any time, as long as any character has 7,000 mana, the price of the bill. Once they do, it'll appear and you can pass it. It's likely you won't be strong enough to fight your way to passing it, but paying for it gives you a much better 20 to 30% success rate, and costs around 2 to 3 million health. Luckily, this amount isn't too difficult to grind for. Even just clearing 6-1 with the level 99 enemies gets you over 200,000, and of course even more with more stars. So just grind this for a bit, raise the required amount, save, and keep resetting until it works. This time, the big grinding map is Cave of Ordeals 6, and as usual, it is the best grinding map in the entire game. You'll see 2 groups of enemies, a 2x3 and a 3x3 of sharks, naturally on experience boosting tiles, so at minimum it takes 2 turns to complete this, and of course AoE spells are key. In fact, the Terrifier spell specifically is key, given that these enemies all have minus 75% fire resistance. To squeeze out more damage, of course you can magic boost with an All-Rune or anyone else you've given it to, level up the skill with repeated use and or a level 300 Trainer Innocent, and you can abuse the Ifrit's unique Eviliety, minus 15% fire resistance to all enemies, which stacks for each Ifrit you have on the field, so just 2 of them will lower the sharks down to minus 99% resistance, the minimum it can go. This is free real estate. Raise your cheat shop stars as high as you can take it and watch those levels soar. For even more experience and damage, again, the enemies on this map are equipped with items that commonly hold statisticians and professionals that you can steal and then subdue in the item world. So once you've had your fun, leveled up a shit ton, gotten many statisticians and a max professional, you'll want to get even stronger. But before we go too far, let's talk about the post-game story. Similar to previous entries, the post-game story comes as a series of bills you can pass to unlock maps, but you can actually unlock multiple at once this time. Some of them are your detour maps, which don't necessarily pertain to the ongoing post-game events, but are standalone extra maps that get you characters. The post-game story maps are labeled post. Just pass all the bills available to you, clear the maps they unlock, then go back to the assembly to see what new ones have popped up, rinse and repeat until you've done all of them. So in loose order, these maps are Peta, Barbara, Amizel, Asagi, Pork Miser, Axel, Artina, Valvatores, and Fenric as a pair because of course, and Dark Death Evil Man, the only one of these who doesn't join your party. The Val and Fen map, by the way, increases your customer rank in the shop to 11. There's also a special set of maps called Prinnyland, which has 2 bills. The first unlocks 3 Prinnyland maps, after which you can pass the Prinnyland Part 2 bill, which unlocks maps 4 and 5 of Prinnyland. Clearing these automatically unlocks the final Prinnyland stage, Pringer X, where you face none other than, well, what does it sound like? Pringer X. Pringer X is level 4000 and has about 3 million health. If you've gotten to max level with Cave of Ordeals, you should be fine. He has an annoying ability where he negates damage from the first attack of the turn though, so just send out a useless unit to attack just to get that out of the way before going in on him for real. Use Lanzarote to increase accuracy with target lock, and an All-Rune or something for magic boost, send out a ton of Ifrits to lower Pringer X's fire resistance, and you can one-shot him. Just note that you also need to kill all of the other Prinnies surrounding the map, but they don't pose much of a threat. Pringer X also has a Prinny suit equipped, and this is the only place to get it, so I'd also recommend stealing it here if you can, otherwise you're gonna have to come back for it on a new cycle, since you can only fight Pringer X once. Every time you re-enter the Pringer X stage after beating him, he'll be Pringer Z, and there'll be 4 of him, all at level 8000 with about 20 million health. Yeah, you're gonna want to save this for later. So how do you get stronger from here? After completing the main story, you unlock Land of Carnage mode in the cheat shop. No hoops to jump through, no physical NPC to talk to, it's just a toggle you turn on and off. but alongside it is a brand new addition, Rasetsu mode, which you unlock after defeating Dark Death Evil Man. Land of Carnage mode is as you'd expect it by now. It supercharges the levels and stats of all enemies. It also multiplies the cheat shop stars by 100, going from 1 to 20 to 100 to 2000. And as usual, you can only find items above rank 34 in Land of Carnage mode, outside of the shop and some special maps of course. But it also has a subtle, yet very important effect unique to DD2. When you're in Land of Carnage mode, you permanently absorb a very small percentage of stats of the enemies you defeat. So the stronger the enemies, the more stats you gain. The most you can gain this way is 99 million in the main 6 stats. Now, Rasetsu mode is interesting. It doesn't change the levels of enemies at all, meaning no real extra gains from defeating them, but it does supercharge their stats even more, basically making enemies stronger for seemingly no tangible benefit. But of course, stronger enemies means more Land of Carnage absorption stats. But even outside of that, Rasetsu mode actually changes quite a lot of other aspects that mainly serve to supercharge you as well. In Rasetsu mode, the absolute cap to your stats is increased. Normally, your main 6 stats are hard capped at 99 million, but in Rasetsu mode, the absolute cap is 999 million. It also massively increases the boost you get from leveling and strengthening items. Don't worry about necessarily being in Rasetsu mode at all times for an item's sake, the stats will change accordingly when you change between modes. There are some bonuses you won't receive or a much smaller in normal mode that won't scale when you change to Rasetsu, such as the stat bonus from killing item bosses and pirates, so if you can handle the Rasetsu mode item world you're in, then stay in Rasetsu mode, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Your stats are still going to be high enough for the purposes of post-game grinding. And as mentioned, Rasetsu mode increases the level cap on your items from 300 to a whopping 999. And there's one other main advantage to Rasetsu. Every time you reincarnate, you'll gain an extra bonus to your stat growth not present in normal mode based on your stored levels. This is the growth correction percentage, and it caps at a beautiful 10,000%. This means your stats literally just get a 10,000% boost, but it takes 250 reincarnations in Rasetsu mode to get this high, assuming you're reincarnating at max level every time. In fact, Rasetsu mode reincarnation is by far the biggest boost you're ever going to get, so from now on, we'll talk about the various ways of getting stronger. First, the process of leveling items and which ones to get, then all about your reincarnation bonuses, Land of Carnage stat absorption bonuses, and even aptitude raising. So what is the strongest item in the game? It shouldn't even be a surprise anymore. It's the Trapezohedron. This is the rank 40 emblem type equipment, so of course you need a legendary rank 39 emblem, which is the Arcadia, to go into to steal the Trapezohedron from the item god on floor 100. By far the easiest way to get an Arcadia in this game is just from the Pringer Z fight. They all have Arcadias equipped, so just reset until one of them is legendary and steal the thing. Oh, what's that? You can't beat the stage? Who said anything about that? In Disgaea D2, getting a game over doesn't actually boot you out of your save file to the title screen or anything. It just puts you back at the stage selection without resetting anything, which means you can just steal the Arcadia, die, and get to keep it. How convenient and laughably broken. Also, with the way the item world works in this game, you could theoretically just get a common rarity Arcadia and clear it a couple times to make it legendary, but that's an extra 90 floors that are just unnecessary. Again, for climbing the item world, I recommend a masked hero with the Hero Maniac personality, which will give him the Blazing Start Evilities, granting him 3 extra movement spaces when he comes out of the base panel. Load him up with shoes and set your item world size to cramped, and you'll be flying through floors. So once you reach floor 100 and get your Trapezohedron, remember you can Gensi out at floor 99 and save and reset if you want multiple shots at it. Not floor 100, because if you exit and come back on floor 100, the item god won't be holding the next rank item anymore. You'll want to strengthen it. I also want to mention some things that'll be helpful to obtain and do while you're doing this so you don't have to later. In addition to the grinding guardian strategy I outlined earlier, be sure to check all of the Innocent Town item shops for innocents you'll want. If you want to fight Baal, look out for the 5 ailment resistance innocents: coffee makers, social workers, medicine men, psychologists, and pharmacists. Of course, look out for these and anything else you want in bonus floors or innocent shop mystery rooms as well. Something I haven't mentioned yet are a special group of rank 49 accessories that the item god will be holding. On each 100th floor, the item god will be holding a random one of Bunny Diary, Cosplay Cat Ears, Pizza Shield, Mushroom Charm, and Broken Cell Phone. You'll need to get all of these anyway for the Collect All Items trophy, but essential to defeating Baal are the Broken Cell Phone and Cosplay Cat Ears, so you should look out for those on each 100th floor. You can save and reset if you need to. You'll be hitting a lot of item gods, so it's a good opportunity to pick these up at the same time. And with that out of the way, strengthening items in the item world has changed significantly in DD2. You're not farming level spheres or anything anymore since they only show up in bonus rooms, so do get them whenever they happen to show up, but your main source of leveling is solely through clearing floors. Yes, all the way up to level 999. 999 levels multiplies the item's base stats by about 30. The stronger the item is, the easier time you'll have fighting stronger enemies earlier into postgame in Land of Carnage and Rasetsu mode on Cave of Ordeals 6 to get your other bonuses more quickly. But as usual, there are ways to strengthen the stats of your item outside of just leveling. I'm gonna get out of the way first that putting single stat innocence on your item is totally optional. They do help to increase stats more as usual, but it's not a huge bonus, and innocence in general are so important and so difficult to come by in DD2 that I would recommend just saving your slots for innocence you find in the item world, such as in the Innocent Shop Mystery Room or on bonus floors, or especially for a random Shadow Heart spawn. The three main ways of increasing your item stats outside of leveling are killing item bosses and pirates, increasing the kill bonus, and passing item assembly bills. The first one will be familiar. Just like in other entries, killing item bosses gives you a pretty good boost to your stats, especially from item gods. But it also applies to pirates now too. There is a cap of this though, of 30,000 before compounding that with all the other multipliers, so the bonuses will stop eventually. Just kill all the pirates and item bosses you see. The second is the kill bonus. This is totally new to DD2. You'll see the kill bonus percentage listed when you exit the item world on your stats. This caps out at 15% and is earned by defeating 1,000 enemies. So keep defeating enemies and your bonus will increase. The smoothest way to do this is on each floor, just cast a 9x9 Terrifier or something to wipe out a ton of enemies at once on cramped item world floors before going into the portal, and you'll hit it eventually. I'll also note that there's technically a secondary kill bonus indicated by this plus percentage next to the normal kill bonus. This seems to have no cap, and is increased faster not by the number of enemies you defeat, but by their strength. This is what's used after everything else to very slowly max out the stats on an item, and just isn't worth it. Again, you'll be getting strong enough without this. This is just for the most hardcore of hardcore grinders who want to see it happen. The third way to increase stats is item assembly bills. Again, this is just an option you can use with the item world or NPC at any point. It doesn't matter when you pass these, the bonus will be the same regardless. At first, for legendary items, you can pass 3 of these, and you can pass a new one for every 100 floors you clear up to 6. Just pass the 20% stat bills for whatever stat you want when they're available. Again, the 20% ones won't be available immediately for some reason, but they'll show up eventually. In essence, kill item bosses and pirates, kill enemies, and pass item assembly bills. And of course, clear floors and steal level spheres whenever you encounter a bonus floor to get your item to level 999. While you're doing this, you'll have plenty of opportunities to randomly find a Shadow Heart Innocent, remember to be on the Innocent route, grind Guardians, and scour the Innocent Town item shop for any other Innocents you need. Again, the Guardians will massively boost the stats you get from the Trap and the Shadow Heart. This should be more than enough to beat Pringer Z, and only because it's a lot easier in Rasetsu mode, because the stat boost from your item in Rasetsu mode compared to what it is in normal mode is much higher than the discrepancy between Pringer Z's stat boost in Rasetsu mode compared to his normal mode stats. Defeating Pringer Z increases your cheat shop to its final maximum of 1,000 percentage points, but defeating Pringer Z in the Land of Carnage increases your customer rank in the shop to its maximum of 12, at which you'll be able to buy rank 39 items from it. But you won't be able to do that just yet, and you need to for a trophy, but that's the strongest you need to be for the platinum. Pringer Z in the Land of Carnage is it. The one boss stronger than this, Land of Carnage or not, is Baal. Now, there's no trophy or anything for defeating Baal. There are some special items you get from defeating him, and technically there is a trophy for collecting all items, but the Baal exclusive ones don't actually count for it. I had to learn that the hard way. Baal is purely for funsies, but if you do want to beat him, you've come to the right place, because we're going to talk about it anyway. So if you're solely concerned about getting the platinum, just follow this until you're strong enough to beat Pringer Z in the Land of Carnage, and then skip to the trophy section. I'll dub the guide from here on out, The Road to Baal. And it's here, if you're not already, where you're gonna want to start using Valvatorez for his absorption ability. You could just put it on someone else, but having that secondary ability slot for any other one you want on top of that is very nice. In fact, the most commonly used and recommended one for the Baal fight, and the one I used, is Patience, which comes from the Living Armor's Living Armor personality. Essentially, this just gives you a 200% damage boost once you've attacked enough times. The battle with Baal is a long one, so this comes in great handy. And before you go further, you can double up on all of this with increasing your aptitudes. Just put Valvatorez and whoever else you want in the Weapon Assembly Training Club. This has a chance of increasing a random aptitude at the end of each battle, with the boost being greater the higher the level of the club. So while you're doing all of this grinding, your aptitudes will also be raising until they hit the max of 300%. And thus, it's on to the next part of getting stronger, the Rasetsu Reincarnation bonus. This is conceptually very simple. Every time you reincarnate in Rasetsu mode, your growth correction percentage in the reincarnation screen will increase based on your total stored levels. This maxes out at 10,000%, and when reincarnating at max level, takes 250 reincarnations. The fastest way to do this is on Cave of Ordeals 6. In Land of Carnage mode, with just 1 star on in the cheat shop, all of the enemies will be level 9,999. When you're first starting out, you may need to do it at a lower strength, but eventually you'll be able to wipe out all the enemies with these settings, and with nearly 1,000% points allocated to experience in the cheat shop and about 7 stacks of statisticians on your unit, it'll only take 1 battle to reach max level. And just make sure you allocate a few percentage points to mana as well so you can actually reincarnate. It'll be slow going at first, but the more you reincarnate, the stronger you'll get, the stronger you can make the enemies, and the faster it'll go. Remember, Terrifier, Magic Boost, and Ifrits are your best friends. You could also try Angels. They have a primary ability that increases the attack power of adjacent units by 25%. You should be doing significantly more damage by surrounding your attacking unit with 4 Angels. You could also try Urtina's 30% more stats to adjacent male allies ability. And with Valvatorez's absorption ability, you'll have noticeably more stats to work with from defeating the first group of sharks to attack the second group with. But of course, there has to be some kind of wrench in the process, and that is the fact that reincarnating lowers your weapon mastery and skill levels by a little bit. If you're using Terrifier, which you probably are, not only will this lower its damage, but more importantly, it will lower its range. The range of magic attacks are directly tied to their level, and you need a 9x9 magic attack to defeat the 9x9 group of sharks, especially before you're strong enough to tank any of their attacks. This means you need to regularly replenish your Terrifier skill level to keep it at or above level 9. You could just allocate all your points to skill experience in the cheat shop and clear Ordeal 6 a few times for more levels, or make an Ifrit with a terribly evil personality, which gives him a fire immune primary ability, and beat the hell out of it with Terrifier for a while. Hilariously, if you're at the very bottom of the Cave of Ordeal 6 map, the sharks won't actually attack you, so you can just slap around an Ifrit on Ordeal 6 until your Terrifier is back up to a satisfactory level, then clear the map and reallocate your cheat shop points again. And that's the process. Stay in Rasetsu in Land of Carnage mode and grind Cave of Ordeal 6 to reincarnate at level 9,999 250 times, refreshing your Terrifier skill when need be. It's a grindy process, but the stat boost you get from it is unreal, and should easily put you in the hundreds of millions of your main 6 stats. I would also recommend reincarnating just one more time after all of this, but with Valvatorez in the attack raising training club, just to get some more attack out before moving him back to the aptitude club. This will be your last reincarnation. After you get your reincarnation bonus, you can max out your Land of Carnage absorption stats. Land of Carnage mode allows you to absorb a small percentage of stats from each enemy you defeat permanently, up to 99 million. So essentially, you can just get an extra 99 million stats by grinding Ordeal 6 even more with the absolute strongest difficulty setting you can handle, Rasetsu included. The more stats the enemies have, is more stats you absorb. This shouldn't take nearly as long as the reincarnation process, and the 99 million cap is just for the 6 main stats, that is, barring HP and SP. Unlike in other Disgaeas where these become absolutely meaningless in late postgame, HP is absolutely crucial, and you're very likely going to want to keep grinding for extra HP long after you've capped your 99 million absorption limit in your other stats. Baal will be hitting you a lot, so it's important that you can take it. For reference, I tried a few times at 100 billion health and couldn't hack it. I grinded for more absorption stats until I hit 200 billion health and defeated him. So there's your ballpark. And that's it for stats. I'm serious. Your important aptitudes will probably be maxed out after all of that, but if they're not, you can keep clearing maps until they are, and between the reincarnation bonus, Land of Carnage stat absorption, and a Shadow Heart with its max benefits, you should easily be in the 400 to 500 millions of your main 6 stats. You won't be getting much stronger from here, but that's okay. You're as strong as you need to be to finally face Baal. Let's first talk about Baal himself, and then how to beat him into the ground. The Baal fight is unlocked automatically when you gain Rasetsu mode after defeating Dark Death Evil Man, by virtue of the fact that Baal can only be fought in Rasetsu mode. If you're in normal mode, his map won't show up. There's a reason we did this much prep and got this strong. After all of that, you will almost exactly rival Baal. He has about 500 million in his main 6 stats and 100 billion health. These numbers might already have you quaking in your boots, but hang on. Baal has not 1, but 6 phases. You need to drain that 100 billion health 6 times to finally knock him down. Baal is an absolute unit. And on top of his raw strength, you just know he comes with a whole host of bullshit Evilities and effects to deal with. His primary Evility, which persists throughout the entire fight, prevents damage from any skill or attack he's already been struck with. If you hit him with the Super Crosslord in Phase 1, he still can't be hurt by a Super Crosslord again in Phase 6. It's permanent. Each phase also comes with a new secondary Evility that replaces the previous one. So let's run through them, shall we? Phase 1. Baal attacks anyone who comes out of the base panel automatically. Yes, it's the same one from Disgaea 4, you gotta tank it, unless you have the Fortitude Evility, which we will be absolutely abusing. Phase 2. Baal will inflict every status ailments ever on all your units that don't have 100% resistance to it. Better grind for those status resistant innocents. He does not care if you have a level 99 resistance innocent, you are getting that ailment. Phase 3. Your attacks have a 50% chance to miss. Phase 4. Baal summons 2 minions at the end of each turn. You'll have a bunch of mini balls running around, they're not that strong but sure are annoying. Phase 5 will automatically damage all enemy units at the end of each turn. Just straight up extra damage because fuck you. Phase 6. Baal destroys the base panel on his first turn of the phase and heals 20% of his health at the end of each turn. If that's not enough, take a look at the equipment he has on. A super time engine, which essentially acts as this game's hyperdrive. It grants him infinite movement so he can teleport to anywhere from anywhere, but that's not even the problem. The teleporting means he never loses his stationary bonus, which is a special bonus that any unit receives from consecutive attacks they deal without moving any tiles, and the teleporting doesn't actually count as moving tiles, which means that every time Baal attacks, he just gets stronger for the entire fight. Disgaea D2 Baal is ridiculous, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to kick his ass. First things first, because of his primary, you will need a lot of different skills in your kit, so level up skills and weapon mastery. You can use 7-3 for this. It has a whole section with reverse damage tiles, so just kill all the enemies except for one, send a random unit out on the reverse damage tiles, and just use them as a punching bag for your skills. Get a level 300 trainer innocent and a level 1900 sparring partner and get to work. Make sure you've gotten all of the tier 7 and 8 skills from the old combat master Prinny in the item world too. He shows up in a mystery room. Focus on the high damage ones first, of course. Rank SS, S, A, etc. Super Crosslord for swords and Dynamic Moon for axes especially are disgustingly strong, but get as many as you can to level 99. The lower your weapon proficiency rank is in a certain weapon, the less weapon experience and weapon skill experience you'll get for that weapon. So it can take quite a while, but it is more than worth it for the damage you'll be doing, and borderline necessary. Don't worry about leveling weapons or anything in the item world, it'll hardly make a difference. Just use any you have on hand. You'll be switching between weapons a lot. And now for some hard counters. Again, get all 5 status resistant innocents at level 100. That is, a coffee maker, social worker, medicine man, psychologist, and pharmacist. Having these on Val will make Baal's second phase extremely straightforward, negating it completely. Likewise, the broken cell phone item, a random rank 40 item that an item god has a chance to be holding, has a unique innocent on it that guarantees hits. This means your speed stat doesn't matter at all since you're gonna hit anyway, but even more so, it completely negates the effect of his phase 3 50% chance to evade secondary Evility. You will hit him 100% of the time. Another rank 40 item that the item god has a chance of having equipped is the Cosplay Cat Ears, which has the mode changer unique innocent on it. This one will look familiar. It negates all physical damage on odd turns and all magic damage on even turns. As you can imagine, this helps a lot since many of Baal's attacks won't hurt you, and it helps a lot on the 5th phase with that extra damage attack too, as half the time it won't do anything. There are some special weapons you're gonna want as well, 2 fun weapons in particular. First is the Lollipop. Actually, you're better off having 2 of these, one for Val and one for a support character you're going to want to stay on the battlefield. The Lollipop can be obtained as a special reward from the item worlder for clearing a certain amount of floors or stealing them from the Cougar Pirates, which you can find above floor 20. The unique innocent on this one heals 50% of your health each turn when you have it equipped, which is unbelievably broken and crucial for survival in this fight. Whenever you dip below half health or just feel like you're in danger, end the turn with the Lollipop equipped. You'll need this to keep your health up. The other fun weapon that's helpful for this initial pre-fight setup is the Natural Sardine. Again, you can get this as an item world prize and probably will already have it by this point. You only need one, and the use for it will become clear soon. The last fun weapon you'll want, which again you can get as an item worlder prize, is the Tennis Racket. Its unique innocent just straight up increases your counter count by 5. Again, you'll see the reason for this. Essentially, you're going to want to build your stationary bonus as high as possible before actually attacking Baal. Again, this is a bonus that will keep stacking on itself with each hit you perform without ever moving any tiles. It caps at 375%, but you won't be getting it this high. The gains get slower as you go up and just takes forever. And remember, Baal's also getting stronger as he attacks too. But to do this, you need multiple other units, not leveled up or anything, but just for utility's sake. First up, Barbara. Her primary ability makes her counter no matter what as long as she defends. She is who you're going to want to use to build up your stationary bonus, and it's why you want the natural sardine. The unique innocent on it heals instead of hurts when performing a normal attack. So if you have Val using this, it doesn't matter if Barbara isn't leveled up. She won't be damaged and she won't die.
You'll also give your tennis racket to Barbara so she counters more often.
To further complement this process, you're going to want a unit that can cast counter classes, a counter increasing buff on Val, such as Lanzarote, because more counters means more hits, which means more of a boost to your stationary bonus. But how are they all going to survive when Baal's attacking everyone and they theoretically can't even get out of the base panel anyway thanks to Baal's phase 1 secondary? Not to fear, Fortitude is here. Fortitude comes in absolute clutch. It's an ability that the fighter class can learn with the muscly personality. It allows the unit, as long as they have max HP, to survive an attack that would otherwise one-shot them. This means they can get out of the base panel with 1 HP, and as long as they keep healing back to full every turn, they can survive anything. So of course, you're going to want another unit to heal each turn as well. And finally, you're not going to want to hear this, but it's a good idea to get one other unit to max Reincarnation and Absorption stats. You'll need someone to throw your damage dealer around so they never lose their stationary bonus, and so this support unit needs to have the stats to survive. This is who you'll give your second lollipop to, and preferably another cosplay cat ears. Oh, and for Valvatorez's secondary ability, Patience. It increases your damage output by 10% every time you attack, with a cap of 200%. Basically, you just end up with a 200% damage boost. You can get this from the Living Armor's Living Armor personality. So, in summary of everything you need, Valvatorez himself, with the Patience secondary ability from a Living Armor, juiced up from a 10,000% Reincarnation bonus, max Land of Carnage Absorption stats, max aptitudes from the training room, a broken cell phone and cosplay cat ears from item gods, a lollipop for healing, a natural sardine, a level 100 professional for guaranteed crits, all 5 level 100 ailment resistant innocents for full immunity, a level 500 guardian, a Shadowheart innocent with everyone else hating your guts for a massive boost, and a shit ton of level 99 weapon skills, preferably with high weapon masteries as well. One other support unit also juiced up on Reincarnation and Land of Carnage Absorption, and another Shadowheart, preferably also with max aptitudes, a lollipop and cosplay cat ears for survivability's sake to throw Val around the map. Ailment resistance innocents are optional. You can just put your support unit in the base panel when the second phase starts and have Val stay still while attacking. More annoying during the fight, but saves you the pain of collecting the innocents. If you're gonna do this, you'll need some ranged attacks like ones from a gun or bow for this phase. Barbara, with a tennis racket, a counter classes caster, and a healer, all with the Fortitude secondary ability. Oh, and maybe load some units up with shoes who can throw far in case your support unit dies. Just have high movement units for backup. After phase 1, they won't get damage coming out of the base panel, so if your support unit dies, these will make you last for a little longer. Once all of this is collected, you are ready to go. The first part of the fight amounts to building up your stationary bonus combo as high as is reasonable. Again, it maxes out at 375%, but climbs more slowly the more it goes up and takes forever. And since Baal's getting stronger in the same way too, I'd recommend just going up to about 225 to 250%. Take out everyone. Val, your support unit, your healer, these last two can be one and the same, your counter classes caster, and Barbara. Put Val and Barbara in front of each other, heal everyone every turn with an AoE healing skill, have Barbara defend every turn for her primary ability to come into play, keep refreshing counter classes, and have Val and Barbara whack each other to build up that bonus. As long as everyone keeps getting healed to max health, Baal shouldn't be able to kill anyone thanks to Fortitude. And of course, whenever Val's health gets low, just equip the lollipop and wait a couple turns to heal to full again. Same with your support unit. Once you're satisfied, put everyone except Val in your support unit back and let the battle really begin. In order for Val to not lose that stationary combo bonus you worked so hard for, he cannot move a single tile the entire fight. Instead, he'll be lifted and thrown by your support unit. If your support unit dies, you can send out random units just to throw Val after phase 1, hence your backup units with high movement. Your support unit will, of course, be holding the lollipop at all times to keep healing, and Val will be thrown, preferably to a side or back attack position for more damage, and keep using his weapon skills on Baal. Start with the lower damaging skills since the earlier phases aren't as difficult as the later ones. If you don't have a second set of ailment resistance innocents on your support unit, again, just put them back in the base panel at the start of phase 2, and have Val stay still while he attacks with some range skills. When Baal enters his 5th phase, you're going to want to start busting out your heavy hitting skills. He starts getting pretty strong here, and that post-turn extra attack is no joke. And of course, if you are sending out more backup units in lieu of your main support unit if they died, make sure to have everyone you want out of the base panel before Baal moves in his 6th and final phase, since he'll destroy the base panel. Hit him with your absolute strongest skills and watch him go down. For defeating him, you get a shiny super time engine and a ball horn, a special sword type weapon. Congratulations, you have beaten the most difficult fight in the entire series. So how about we put that 100% to paper, yeah? We still need that sweet, sweet platinum after all. There are 55 trophies in Disgaea D2, and they're nowhere near as intensive as Disgaea 4's. No pirate ship parts alone is an absolute godsend. I'll start with listing off all the trophies you'll already get automatically throughout the course of playing the game normally and getting stronger, aka the ones this guide has already covered the requirements for, and ones that just don't really need any explanation whatsoever, which there are a surprising amount of. These are a trophy for simply watching the opening movie, which is hilariously cut off a few seconds early by the way, but you'll still get the trophy. 10 more for clearing each of the 10 main story chapters, 12 more for post-game characters and fights, Peita, Barbara, Amizel, Asagi, Pork Miser, Axel, Artina, Val and Fen, Dark Death Evilman, Pringer X, Pringer Z in the Land of Carnage, and completing all Cave of Ordeals maps. 2 more for dealing 100,000 and 100 million damage, laughable numbers compared to what we got to. And for a whole slew of more miscellaneous trophies, there are defeat a pirate group, mount a monster, use a mounted skill with a human and monster with max Likeability, encounter a bonus room, persuade the assembly by force, get a game over, clear all geo panels on the map, jump 1,000 times in the base, use the cheat shop 10 times, open 100 treasure chests, pay out a total of 100 million hell to the Dark Assembly to pass bills, make a 10 character tower, level up a Dojo Training room, talk to NPCs in the base 1,000 times, create a character, defeat an item god, and travel 42 kilometers. You'll just get this last one automatically at some point. I have no idea what a kilometer translates to in this game. That is a lot of super miscellaneous trophies for doing really the most basic of things. Others though are slightly less straightforward, so I'll quickly run through how to get these. Have 10 characters reach max Likeability. This specifically means one character having max Likeability with 10 other characters. You could just spam Dark Assembly bills for this. Change the character you control at the base. Use the switch main characters bill in the assembly. Turn Laharl back into a girl. Pass the I Wanna Be Popular trophy with Laharl in the assembly. Make a 10 Prinny explosion chain. Just throw a Prinny who doesn't have the cross bomber ability onto this specific tile in Prinny Land 3 and watch them go. Watch 100 battle conversations. In main story and post-game story maps, putting 2 unique characters next to each other might trigger a conversation between them. Just trigger 100 conversations. Collect all save icons. These are obtained through the vending machine in the hub world. Literally just keep spamming it until you get them all. Make sure to clear out your inventory because this can fill it up very fast. In fact, I just made a separate save and cleared out literally my entire inventory so I didn't have to sift through it every time, and just spammed vending machines and clearing my inventory again when it filled up until the trophy popped. Perform 100 combos. A combo is literally just more than one attack directed at the same target in the same execution. So you may very well have just gotten this naturally, but if not, just go to map 7-3 or something with the reverse damage tiles and spam some 2-hit combos on someone. Protect 10 attacks. The Armor Knight has a unique ability to protect anyone adjacent to them when the Armor Knight defends. If the unit gets attacked, the Armor Knight will take the attack for them. With the cool looking personality, it gets the primary ability Defender, which actually makes them able to protect from anywhere, not just adjacent units. Just have an Armor Knight defend and protect 10 times for the trophy. Use 100 support attacks. Support attacks can be activated when a unit attacks adjacent to other units, and the higher the Likeability between them, the greater of a chance. Just go to 7-3 again and abuse the reverse healing tiles to infinitely farm some support attacks by having 2 characters with max Likeability stand next to each other and attack an enemy. Use 100 cover attacks. Units have a chance to perform a cover attack automatically after another unit attacks an enemy. To farm these super easily, set up 2 rows of 5 units with guns to perform normal attacks on one enemy, execute them all at once, and you'll have a crazy amount of cover attacks flying around. Believe it or not, that's 53 out of the 55 trophies for the most random and easiest of things. The last 2 though are significantly more work. The first of these is to see every special skill animation. This goes more or less the way it did in Disgaea 4. There are two main categories of skills, weapon skills and unique skills. We've mostly already gone over how weapon skills work. Each non-staff humanoid weapon has 8 skills, 6 of which you'll learn through weapon mastery, the other 2 of which you can purchase from mana from the old Combat Master mystery room in the item world. Unlike in previous entries, you can purchase all of them at the same time, so provided you have the mana, you only need to encounter him once. I say non-staff humanoid because monster weapons are totally devoid of their own skills at all, and staves are kind of their own beast. Staves can use magic. The damaging magic attacks come in 5 tiers, from normal to terra, all in fire, ice, wind, and star varieties. No Peta magic in DD2. For these, the magicians and mages can learn them, and it doesn't matter which one you pick. When you make one, you can choose their elemental specialty, which determines their resistances and the elemental type spells they can learn. Any of them can learn the star spells. Greater tiers of magic spells are gotten by leveling up the unit, and only tiers 4 or above can learn the Terra spells, and only tier 6 can learn Terra Star. Then there's all the support magic. For healing, again, it comes in 5 tiers, and I'll throw Esquire in there too, which cures all status ailments. Classes that can learn all healing and Esquire include the Cleric and Priest, again at tiers 4 or higher, and Flan herself. For stat increasing buffs, the Alrune has ones to raise attack, defense, intelligence, and resistance on tier 2 or above, and Lanzarote has the hit and speed increasing ones. There's also a set of more miscellaneous buffs that increase movement range, jump height, counters, crit chance, throwing range, and magic range. These can all be learned by Lanzarote or the Sea Angel at tier 3 or above. Debuffs and status ailments can all be learned by the Sorcerer on tier 2 or above. The other main category of skill is unique skills. Generic humanoids, generic monsters, and unique characters all have their own flavor of these. For humanoids, just like in D4, not all of them have unique skills, but when they do, they'll have the same staff icon that magic skills do. Just use all of them you see on your characters, you shouldn't have to be any higher than level 100 to use them. The same cannot be said for monsters. Every monster class has their own unique set of skills, and you'll want to be at least level 200 with each to ensure you can use all of them. There are a lot of them that require levels 160 to 180. Just unlock them and use them all. Unique characters, likewise, also have their own set of skills specific only to them, and none of them should really require you to be past level 100. Use these on all your unique characters, but that's not all, because you're also required to see unique skills used by units who never join your party. You just need to go into the map they appear in and get them to use their skills, and a lot of these can be a real pain in the ass. The NPC skills you need to see are those of Virunga, both of Xenolith's forms, and Dark Death Evilman. You fight Virunga as a boss in 7-6, so this is where you're going to want to see it. He also appears as an ally in 10-4, but he mainly only ever uses support spells for the other allies. Try to use units around his or under his level. I was trying for a really long time to just stand on the map with an overleveled unit and just try to let him hit me with it, but he would just never use it. And it's a similar thing with all the other NPCs. On 10-5, you'll fight Xenolith. His first form has 2 skills he needs to use, and his second form has 1. Try to steal his sword first thing, because otherwise you may find him only using his sword skills. Finally, there's Dark Death Evilman, the last boss of the post-game story, who has 3 unique skills. My experience here was that he would not use certain skills on my busted strong character. Even when I sent out weaker ones, he just uses AoE specials to try to get multiple units at the same time. It wasn't until I had a weaker unit alone on the map that he used his other skills. So if you're having trouble getting them to trigger, try that. Last but not least, in their own special category are mounted skills. Each monster has a special skill that a unit can use when mounted on them, so just go through all your monsters, mount them, and use their skill. Oh, and of course, like always, there's your tower skills. These are usable by characters at the bottom of a tower, and you unlock higher tiers of them by using the lower ones. There aren't that many, so just keep using them to unlock the new ones, and it won't take too long to run through all of them. All of these should pop the trophy. The final trophy is to collect every single item. Again, Baal exclusive items do not count, and you don't have to get one of each rarity, just one in general. We'll start with weapons and armor first. You can straight up buy ranks 1 through 39 in the shop, but for rank 40s, you'll need to climb through every single legendary rank 39 weapon and armor to get them. As you're going through your trap, hunt down legendary chests and you should get rank 39s with relative frequency. Do the same when you're climbing through those rank 39s for the rank 40s, and you'll just naturally accumulate all of them without really having to do any extra work. And don't worry, there are no rank 41 items or anything like in Disgaea 4, this is it. But there are some special types of weapons outside of these called the fun weapons. You may remember these from past Disgaea games, but they are essentially weapons outside of this main rank 1 through 40 progression, indicated by their unique yellow circle with an exclamation point icon. You can find these equipped on certain pirate groups, but all of them can be gotten as rewards from the item worlder for clearing a certain amount of item world floors in total. The final fun weapon for 3000 floors cleared is Death's Sickle, which isn't actually necessary since that also comes with the measles, so you'll already have it, so you really only need to go up to the second to last reward, which you should already be pretty close to after doing everything else. Even besides the fun weapons, there are a few specific special weapons. First, the Pure Stick, a special staff weapon. This is gotten by changing Flan to Pure Flan with a Dark Assembly bill in postgame, maxing out Likeability between her and Lahorl, and making Lahorl the main character with Flan following him, and she'll automatically give it to you. The Longinus Spear is a special spear weapon. Just have a character with at least 25 spear mastery and talk to Longinus, the weapons expert in the hub world. He'll give it to you. Last but not least is the Elder Spear, another special spear weapon. Find this by accessing Etna's secret room in the hub world. Activate a switch behind the throne, then another on the skull in the item shop's desk, then change your main character to only Lahorl with no one else following him, and then you can access the room in the corner here and you'll get the spear. Shoes, belts, and glasses can all also be found in the shop, but otherwise just stolen from enemies in the item world or from chests. Orbs, muscles, and emblems can't be gotten from the shop, but are frequent nurse rewards given to you from healing or reviving a certain amount of characters. Otherwise, again, item world hunting. The Universal Orb, a rank 38 orb, would probably be the rarest here, save for the Arcadian Trap, which you already have, and I ended up finding one in an innocent town item shop in the land of Carnage. Snacks you don't already have can frequently be dropped from the vending machine. Secret medicine, as well as bribery items, can be found in the bonus gauge or in item world mystery rooms. There are separate rooms for mana potions, experience potions, stat boosting salves, and bribery items. Then there's all the hands and Mr. Gensi exit. I would be shocked if you haven't gotten a Mr. Gensi exit by now, but of course you get them as rewards for clearing out all the enemies on every 10th floor in the item world. There are 5 hands, 4 of which can be bought directly from the shop. The last one is the Awesome Hand. This is a rank 34 hand, so you don't have to be in the land of Carnage or anything, just look for it in the bonus gauge or a chest or something in the item world. The only other items in the game are the special rank 40 ones that the item gods randomly have equipped. Cosplay Cat Ears, Pizza Shield, Mushroom Charm, Bunny Diary, and Broken Cell Phone. Then there's the Propel Vernier, just kind of its own thing. Grants higher movement, get from item world hunting. And that should be every single item, and consequently, the Platinum Trophy. Congratulations, another Disgaea Platinum down. We are officially over halfway through the series now, just 3 games to go. I hope this helped at least a little bit. I know Disgaea D2 is on the more obscure side, and this was definitely one of the more difficult ones to find information for as I was going for the Platinum myself. As always, hit me up with any questions in the comments, or just let me know how you feel about the game. Thanks so much for watching, like and subscribe and all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.